Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's edition of the Pro Wrestling Report. This here is Damian Nelson. That there is the man they call Meathead. Thank you for tuning in to the world's most watched professional wrestling news program all over the world. And thanks for visiting us here on MaxSportsOnline.com. This is Viewer Mail Episode 4. What do we do in these episodes? We take your emails, your correspondences with us. We read them, address them here on air, and make you a star for 5 minutes of your life right here on this very program.
Doom, 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 doom. I love
that song. The first one is from a person whose email address is listed as tinkercs@aol.com. tinkercs@aol.com asked a very interesting question. Where do you see John Cena in 15 years?
Not in wrestling.
Really? Is he going to pull a rock?
Yes, and he will fail miserably.
What's he mean, pull a rabbit out of a hat?
Miserably.
Really? Yes. Well, The Marine is not yet released. However, it's a movie with some potential that could set the tone for his movie role. His movie career. Remember The Rock's first foray into movies, which was his 5-minute-long appearance?
Yep, it was called The Mummy Returns.
And then that was supposed to have made him a big star, and then able to do movies after that. Well, The Rock's career has been sort of floundering as it relates to movies. Not necessarily,
because The Gridiron Gang, first weekend out, #1 movie in America.
Yeah, but only made $15 million.
#1 movie in America. Apparently people were going to see movies that weekend.
15 years, John Cena. I see him still probably wrestling. Cena's a young lad. I believe he's 26, 27 years old, something around that time frame. But I still see him around. I think John Cena has mega-star potential. And I think WWE resting their hopes for the future on his shoulders is not the worst move in the world.
You're entitled to that opinion.
Adrian Vasquez has several questions for you, Meathead. It's Vasquez. I'm part Venezuelan. I know how to say this stuff.
Killing me, dude.
Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, when do we think we'll see the new divas debuting soon? Like Cherry, Katie, Leah, Victoria Crawford, Amy Zidian, Mirs Aule, Melina Ruka, Rebecca DePietro, Chantel Taylor. Good Lord, boy, where'd you get all these names from? And I'm not going to read the rest, but who do you think will make an impact? And will all the new divas make the women's division just like before WWE fired the good divas?
The good divas, and we're talking about...
Sonny!
No, we're not talking about that. That's gross, dude. Don't do that. We're not talking about that. We're talking to divas like Miss Madness 2000, otherwise known as Molly Holly. We're talking about divas like Gail Kim, who could wrestle. We're talking about divas like, the other ones that could wrestle, too. I just forget their name. Jazz.
Trisha's now a former diva.
Trisha's a former diva as well.
Jazz's boyfriend just got called back up, Rodney Mack, so maybe we'll see her pop back up.
Hopefully not. Actually, you'll see her in probably ECW.
She was a bad bitch.
She used to beat the hell out of Simon Diamond.
And?
Burn,
baby, burn it!
Disco Inferno. No, that was Miss Jackie.
Yes, it was. I'm sorry.
I know it's your first day here.
I guess.
But we digress.
Black, so
we digress. I don't know any of them, to be quite honest with you. I'm stumped by the fact that you came up with all these names.
Well, here's the question: When do you think we might see Sunny back in WWE?
Oh,
because I heard she may return possibly at the end of this year or next.
Oh, do you want to see Sunny? I've seen Sunny recently. Do you want to see her?
She. I don't know if she didn't give up that crack cocaine.
But remember, also, she's not the same anymore because Candido's gone.
That is true. Yes or no? Worth returning to WWE by name. Deborah.
Yes.
The Puppies.
Yes.
Sable. Rita Mero.
No.
She'd make a 4th run. Terry.
Yes.
Runnels. Tori Wilson.
Yes.
I'm sorry, not Tori Wilson. Tori, crazy lesbian kind of Tori that wasn't a lesbian.
I liked her.
Miss Jacqueline, as you mentioned before.
No.
Ivory.
Yes. I love Ivory.
I think he's pretty.
When she used to wear these tights that had the little heart cut out right above the crack of her ass. Oh.
And China. Doll.
Yes.
Yeah? Even in her current state. Not of mind, but of body.
Of mental state?
Both.
It'll happen.
Okay.
It'd only be run number 2 for her.
Harrison from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Hey, we got a viewer from Milwaukee. Harrison from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I was wondering if you had any ideas on the Survivor Series poster for the 2006 series. It's the one that leaked out online with the DX logo, and over it is the NWO logo. Any thought on that? And by the way, I love the show. We did talk about this 2 weeks ago on this very program, and I don't know how much of a leak it actually was as opposed to a talk generator. One interesting thing that's been brought up is people have been speculating about a reformulation of the NWO. Those talks have gone away because, really, it's a one-trick pony. And just like now with DX, what are they going to do now? They've gone against the Spirit Squad. They've gone against
Murdoch and Cade.
Yeah, who does that? What's that all about?
Murdoch and Cade. You can tell they didn't have enough money for both guys to use the tanning booth because one actually has...
And it certainly wasn't Murdoch.
One actually has...
It's like a big white satellite dish.
He looks like Frank without his shirt on.
Hey, now. Frank's not here to defend himself.
Frank said it to me before we talked.
No, there's no evidence of that. The tape was not rolling. So, one-trick pony, like I was saying. NWO against who? Where's your face groups of anybody? It'd be NWO versus DX, and then what? It'd be just like 2003, when the Hogan thing happened, and Hogan got big, and the whole NWO thing fell apart.
And then they made a member. They literally said, the person that's going to join the NWO next doesn't even know they're going to be in the NWO. Booker T was in the NWO.
Well, when it was in WCW NWO, I think everybody was in some WO.
Yeah, there was 3 teams.
There was also the Latin World Order.
Oh, the LWO was cool, but that meant every luchador that wasn't in the LWO got pushed to the side.
Jesse Smith from Battle Creek, Michigan says...
Oh, you know who's from Battle Creek, Michigan?
One of a kind.
Mm-hmm. Go.
Says, hey guys, love the show. I have a question, then followed by a statement/idea. Thank you for laying it out.
Yeah.
Since Jeff Hardy is back with WWE, do you think that a Team Extreme reunion is necessary, and will it have the same kind of power as it did before? We saw a bizarre coupling of that whole trilogy at the Unforgiven pay-per-view, which still doesn't make much sense to me as to why Matt Hardy was even there, but no. Yes. No. It could go either way is what I'm saying with Jeff Hardy and Matt coming together again, but, what do you do? You're sort of stuck with that.
Was 3 members, not 2.
Yeah, but
the Hardy Boys were 2 members. Team Extreme was 3.
That was back when, it was surprising to see Lita do the Lita Karana. Now it's like, all right, Lita match.
Lita is nothing more than really a spot fest.
I wanted to say that a great angle for Vince and Paul Heyman to go for an ECW is to have Eric Bischoff be a heel and try to take ECW over. That's what Jesse Smith from Battle Creek, Michigan says.
It's not bad. I'd be interested.
They did do the real shoot kind of angle between Heyman and Bischoff because remember the death of ECW, the funeral that occurred right here in Green Bay, Wisconsin, that was the first and only time all 3 powers from WWE, WCW, and ECW were in the ring. Old set, other set. And it was Bischoff, McMahon, and Heyman in the ring at the same time together. Could they do it again? I don't know.
Again, you've heard me mention this on this very program and on very other incarnations of this program. They blew it when they brought over WCW into WWE. Finn should have just bought it, not told anybody he bought it. Bought it with his own money and then bankrolled it and let somebody else be the face on it.
Jose Perez sends in this email to his 2007, the year where we finally get to see Randy Savage and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat deservedly receive their just due and be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame.
Randy has gone insane.
Insane in the membrane.
I'm not going to do it. Randy is literally, he's gone insane. And you know what? I do believe that him and Steamboat, especially Steamboat, and Steamboat's an agent right now. So Steamboat, they're probably just waiting for the right time to put him in. And Steamboat, deservedly so, should be the top guy or the second guy that they list. When they list a huge, show's worth, and they're going to put all these guys in, there's always your big name star last year, obviously, was Hollywood. The year before was
WrestleMania 21 was JBL and Cena. Cena won the strap, Batista, Triple H.
Who was the Hall of Fame?
Oh, the big name for the Hall of Fame was Hogan that year.
Okay, so I'm sorry, last year was Bret Hart.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you get what I'm saying. There's always a huge name that makes you come by the PPV, or it makes you go to the
pay-per-view.
Makes you go to the Hall of Fame ceremonies, whatever.
The HOF.
So, Steamboat deserves, and Steamboat's there, and he'll go in at some point when he goes in. But Randy, I don't know if he could make it.
Ooh, no.
Brother, you had just reached the #1 spot on my intergalactic hit list. Oh, yeah.
Maybe when if they do induct him into the Hall of Fame, they could,
trim that beard.
mat his CD.
He needs to trim that beard. He has a ZZ Top beard, and he dyes it. It's jet black.
Joe from New Jersey, thank you very much for that question. New Jersey.
I won't do that either. I'd be insulted, New Jersey guys.
Joe has probably never pumped his own gas.
I heard that about New Jersey.
Brian Keegan from Glasgow, Scotland. That is across the pond. Hi, guys. Still love the show. Thank you.
Like something was going to happen in between. I hate it now.
Here's my one question for that's for me, Damien. Do you think WWE or TNA should do one big pay-per-view from the UK like SummerSlam 1992? I know that SummerSlam 92 was one of the biggest pay-per-views of all time, but do you think they would get a sellout and big money payoff? SummerSlam 92 was actually a great show. 80,400 fans at Wembley Stadium. It was a bigger event than it should have been, headlined by British Bulldog versus Bret Hart in what many call one of the greatest Intercontinental Championship matchups
that was the main event
in history. Exactly. For the Intercontinental Championship.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm getting at.
Great event at Wembley. And I don't know how long ago it was, and I just realized this a little while back, a couple of weeks back. There's no UK-only pay-per-views anymore from WWE. Rebellion, and I forget what the other one was called, but they don't do those specific
Anarchy?
No. It was Rebellion with the fist.
Right.
It was the E.
Right.
And that's the other one. I don't remember the other one. But, I think that WWE could certainly do it. I know that there's some time and logistical issues that they'd have to work through, but I think they could certainly do a big pay-per-view across the pond.
Well, they do run their tours over there.
Yeah.
So, it's not a time and a logistics issue. All they have to do is just make one of them a bigger show.
And why can't maybe they take WrestleMania international? Granted, it's been in Canada before, but that's the United States, basically. Except better health care and better
Unless you're in Montreal, because that's not really the United States or Canada.
It's Montreal.
Again.
I thought you were cultured.
The frogs don't go for that, too.
I'm sorry, this is not Brian Keegan. I do this every time to you, Andrew. It's Andrew Keegan from Glasgow, Scotland. This is a comment that I'm not going to read because it's not named, but this is from Rob Bohr. Rob Bohr is from Northampton, England. I think this is a new viewer from across the pond. Rob Bohr, I only watched your show once and I loved it, so I'm going to start watching it frequently. Ding!
We need to get one of those bells. Ding, ding, ding,
No, we
ding,
don't.
ding, ding.
Many years ago, I was a huge Shawn Michaels fan, but now I hate him because of what he did to Bret Hart. That was 9 years ago. What are your thoughts on the Montreal incident? Were you fans of either men, and do you blame Shawn for doing it? Rob Bohr, you get your chance, just like everybody else, to ask us a question, which you've done. I think that event 9 years ago did really escalate the professional wrestling business to where it is and where it got to, just with the controversy of that event and the creation of the Mr. McMahon character. Do I agree with Vince? Yes. Do I agree with Bret? Yes. Do I agree with Shawn? Yes. I think everybody involved believed that they were doing the right thing.
Whoa.
Much like
Whoa. You agree with Vince?
I agree with Vince.
Vince. Shawn.
I agree with Shawn. I feel Bret. I agree with Bret's decision.
Okay.
Hey, I am not a supporter of your president, George W. Bush. But I respect
our president.
I respect his reserve. Charlton Heston's my president. I respect his reserve and his commitment to his beliefs. I think each person in that situation believed they were doing what was right, and you can't fault that.
Because that opinion of you has changed.
It is. I still hate Bret Hart.
Okay.
Think he's evil.
Okay.
Just saying. Your thoughts, Screwjob. Can you blame any of the parties involved?
What about Earl?
Earl Hebner? He was like the pole between two cars in a car wreck that just went down with the wreck.
Bret obviously did what he thought was right. Bret was a little out of touch when he did it.
A wee bit off base.
Yeah, a little out of touch. Bret also showed up, I believe, on Nitro the next night.
I think it was a week later. It could have been the next night. I'm not sure. It was 9 years ago.
9 years. That's exactly the point. It was 9 years ago.
Montreal, it should be noted, Montreal has seemingly gotten over it.
After this previous Raw that we saw about 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
they finally got over it. But then
Toronto, same thing. Toronto was a little less forgiving.
The only player that's left in that whole gimmick is Vince and Shawn, and Vince wasn't on camera, and they let Shawn go.
I don't think we've seen Vince in Montreal in a long, long time. I would say since Shawn Michaels told Vince to let it go.
That wasn't in Montreal.
I believe it was. May have been. We'll have to get the interns on that. Unsure at this time. We're going to have to get wired here at the table, here at the broadcast desk, so we can, tippy-tappy and check all that stuff out. Michael Vane, that was from Rob Bohr from Northampton, England. This next email is from Michael Vane from Baltimore, Maryland, very close to Northampton. Love your show, best wrestling show ever, and let's get to the point. Will TNA ever beat WWE in the ratings war, which isn't really a war so much anymore, and will TNA ever become as big of a threat as WCW did? Phenomenal question coming from Baltimore, Maryland. Will TNA ever get to the point where it's beating WWE in the ratings? I think we're far ways off for that to ever happen. There really is no war because the shows don't go up against each other, so you can split the audience. You don't have to split the audience.
Share the audience.
You can share the audience. But the second part of that question, will TNA ever become as big a threat as WCW did? It's got the potential. They've got a big money backer, and they've got the potential with the right momentum to do that.
But it'll take years. Years.
And they've only been around since 2002, so it's only been about 4 years.
It'll take years. But then again, how long did it take ECW to really make its mark? But at that time, nobody knew that ECW was technically being bankrolled also by Vince McMahon as well.
To an extent, yes. Michael Vane, we'll see what happens, I guess. We'll have to leave it at that. This next one's from Colin McDonald. Not across the pond, but up north in Halifax, Nova Scotia, where the great pull-apart between Bret Hart and Vince McMahon happened at the broadcast table when that whole thing was happening leading up to the Survivor Series 97. Anyways, hey guys, is what Colin says. I've been watching World Wrestling Entertainment for years, but recently I have felt that the WWE of today really, really sucks. He used two reallys in here.
I noticed that. That's the emphasis when you put that second really in there.
No, you put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable. In my view, I feel that they, WWE, just aren't motivated enough anymore as they used to create great, worthwhile wrestling talent, entertaining shows, or pay-per-views because they feel that there is no other wrestling promotion out there that can competitively compete with World Wrestling Entertainment.
And that's due to them buying WCW.
I went out and I bought my competition. Do you agree or disagree with this statement, which is a very well-written email from Colin McDonald? Thank you very much.
Colin, you pretty much hit it on the head. The fact is that
he's a man.
Not Steven Regal. They killed the competition.
No. I went out and I bought my competition.
They killed it. Because they had no one to compete against. There was no threat from anywhere. I mean, you nailed it right on the head.
We're at a green tier level.
Yeah. So, no, he's right on the money. Thanks, Colin.
Elton Dorman from Milwaukee. Thank you for remembering to put where you're from this time on the email. A little shameless self-promotion here, but it's not self because I'm just reading an email we got. First off, I would like to say, man, you guys just keep going all out for your PWR fans. Just look at the new and improved set. You guys and the way you have the internet site going, keep it up, and I wish you gentlemen all the luck. Well, thank you, and let me make sure we say this week, as we try to every week, this show is for fans, by fans. We do not try to be, will never be insiders. We've been exposed to the wrestling business and have seen a lot of things that a lot of you may not have the opportunity to see, but we don't throw
some
that
things
in your
that we
face.
don't want to see and some things that we're throwing in our face.
We take that little bit of knowledge and apply it to what's happening out there in the world and give you news you can count on and our opinions. And your opinions are just as important as our opinions, which is why we do shows like this. It's a viewer mail episode just to talk about what you, the fans, are thinking out there. So thank you very much, Elton Dorman. Now let's get to his top five, which is something that always happened back in the old PWR days. Send us your top five lists, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, when you send the emails, put them right on there.
Number 5 on his list. Hey, I'm liking this Elton very much. Number 5 is the charismatic enigma.
The charismatic fatty.
Jeff Hardy.
That'll be his name from now on, the charismatic fatty.
Number 4, JBL, John Bradshaw Layfield, a wrestling
fatty
god. Number 3 is The Undertaker, even though, I'm not even going to talk about it. Number 2, John Cena. Number 1, D-Generation X, using up his tag team spot. Elton goes on to say, I just watched one of the greatest matches I've seen in a long time. It was a 6-man match for the World Wrestling Entertainment Intercontinental Belt on last week's Raw. The other thing, now who was in that match? Read it.
There was Chris Masters. There was Carlito. There was Randy Orton. There was Johnny Nitro. And, I don't know, there's 2 other guys.
Two other guys, like who?
The,
Can you remember at least one of them?
The charismatic fatty.
Enigma.
Fatty.
Enigma.
The charismatic fatty. Have you noticed that he never takes his shirt off now? Because he literally is a fat tub of goo.
Enigma.
And the last one. Over the top. I can't remember who the 6th was.
Thank you very much, Elton Dorman. Sorry, I had to read the rest of that here.
Randy Orton,
from Milwaukee,
Carlito,
Wisconsin.
Let's see. Randy Orton, Masters, and Nitro were the heels. Fatty, Carlito, and who was the other face? I can't think of it.
It's going to bother you. You know, as soon as tape stops rolling, you're going to remember who it was.
Jerk store.
Now, if you were a broadcast journalist,
I would have had the interns put the notes in front
you'd know
of me.
that.
I'd
Yes.
have that.
I unfortunately did not see Raw last week. I was in a jet airplane.
Well, you didn't see Fatty lose the match.
Get robbed again, you mean?
Fatty.
This is a comment that was left on the all-new PWR blog. We're blogging all over the internet.
Just blogged right now.
This was in regards to my comments about the WWE Unforgiven pay-per-view. And this is from an unnamed person. Yeah, I agree with most of what you said. I think the pay-per-view was a success because of the Canadian crowd. Firstly, because unlike the unthankful MSG crowd, the Toronto crowd actually cared about Trish's send-off. Well, it's her hometown, which was extremely well done. Got to give props to that whole scenario. The sharpshooter and out by Trish Stratus. Very, very well done. Very respectful, as this emailer says. Secondly, the fact that they did the whole go heel, boo face thing, like Rock Hogan WrestleMania 18, to such a strong degree, it made the main event dwarf all the other matches. And who would have thought that would have been possible? Especially the Hell in a Cell, which was a mid-card match. When the table fell and Cena used his psychic power to predict he would FU Edge into it, so he put it up again, left a bad taste in my mouth. And the fact that Cena won destroyed the end of all hope of 5 SmackDown fans.
SmackDown's still on the air.
It is on the C.W. Anderson network.
I don't think he works for the company anymore.
No, he started a network.
Apparently. What happened to that guy that started the network, that worked in the network, used to be on SmackDown?
Yeah, I think he got, the 1 week, a Hummer came and picked him up.
It was a black Hummer.
And it left. Ladies and gentlemen, that is this week's edition of the Pro Wrestling Report. Viewer Mail Volume 4. You
got nothing left?
I got nothing. That's our download reports, if you'd like to. The interns presented me with that.
No porn and no chicken.
Thank you for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. Next week, we're going to have a special look at TNA, Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, including Don West, and talk about their issues and good things and bad things about that organization right here next week on this very program. Always keep in touch with Max with the Pro Wrestling Report by visiting us on the website that is called MaxSportsOnline.com, PWR. Folks, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time right here on the Pro Wrestling Report.